Hey guys, Tominator back again. This time we're reviewing the top 3 callout at the 2021 Arnold Classic. That's right, they added Iain Valliere into the mix there beside Nick and Steve. So from left to right, you've got 3rd place finisher Steve Kuclo, 1st place Nick Walker, and 2nd place runner-up Iain Valliere. And here in this front double bye, I've got Walker easily. Kuclo and Iain both look good, but neither of them can match those enormous biceps of Nick. Plus, I really think that the way he crunches down on the abs helps give him an extra element of detail through the torso that the others are sorely lacking. In 2nd, it's a toss-up. Kuclo has the better chest and calves, whereas I'd give Valliere a slight advantage through the arms and lats. Iain also normally has more separated quads, and maybe we'll see that in other poses, but right here, I'm not seeing a whole lot of difference between them in that area. Valliere looks a little flat if we're being honest. The front lat spread I give to Iain though. Best feet taper of the group, coupled with some nice quad sweep. Walker looks awkward as hell. This is his worst pose. I pointed it out in prejudging and some of you guys disagreed, but come on. This is a far cry from a textbook front lat spread. If anything, he looks even worse here than he did earlier. Kuclo looks good, pretty decent. Big, broad chest and delts and a nice outline, but the lats remain very underwhelming. That's why Iain takes this. From the side, though, it's gonna be tough to take out the guy in the middle. Nick just has so much quality thickness from head to toe. I'd say he's winning this. Best lower body by a mile when you factor in the calves. Nothing is really missing or out of balance. Iain looks terrific everywhere except the chest. That far pec is way too small and thin, so that on its own precludes him from winning this shot. Steve has the best chest, but the worst lower body from a conditioning standpoint. So unfortunately, I think he's gotta be last here since the side chest isn't just about the chest. Remember that for any mandatory pose, we're always judging the entire body, and Steve is lagging behind in the lower half. Turning around, we're going to see if either of them can possibly measure up to the newcomer Nick Walker. And spoiler alert, but the answer is a big resounding no. Not even close. He's running away with it in the back double bye. Let's see. Most detailed back, highest peaked biceps, biggest forearms, the most defined hamstrings by a long shot. Need I go on? Nah, it's safe to say Nick's got it. As for 2nd place, though, Kuclo has the greater size and structure, but Valliere looks a little drier. It's especially noticeable in the traps, shoulders, and glutes. In fact, Iain might even be harder than Walker in certain areas, but he lacks the separation. So I would go with Iain there in 2nd on this one. In the lat spread, this is also going to Nick, but not by a large margin. None of these guys displays a ton of width here. The 2nd callout featuring Sergio, Akeem, and Justin was actually way better in this pose overall. But anyway, Walker's lower body propels him to victory here, if nothing else. He's also showing the most definition through the back. After that, I'd go with Steve this time, maybe simply because his back is bigger and wider, whereas Iain's upper body looks a little too small here. But it could go either way. Valliere is more conditioned, so you could argue for him on that basis. In the side triceps, I'm liking Nick more now than before. That slight backwards lean is helping make this appear more aesthetic and less blocky. The chiseled abs and outer quad are on the money, and the triceps itself is massive and defined. Conversely, Kuclo looks a little worse than during prejudging because he's hunching over more and his posture doesn't look as good. Iain once again looks great everywhere but the triceps because he has no triceps horseshoe whatsoever, so that's unfortunate and probably more of a genetic defect as opposed to a training thing. Valliere is so odd to judge in these side shots because his worst body parts are the namesakes of the pose, namely the chest in the side chest and the triceps here in the side tri. So it really depends how much weight you give to these specific areas. But like I said, I think it's important not to get too preoccupied with one muscle at the expense of everything else. Yes, you gotta weight the triceps more heavily here than in other poses, but we still have to look at the bigger picture. So for that reason, I'm gonna bump him in front of Kuclo, but Nick takes it handily this time. The ab and thigh goes to Walker also. He's the only one who hits a conventional ab and thigh. Iain is kinda cheating with that twisting shot, masking his abdominals in favor of the obliques. It's a smart strategic move on his part, but I still feel that guys who do this deserve to be marked down a little for hiding their midsection, since the abs should be front and center here. Steve is doing the same thing, but at least at the end he shifts into a head-on version. But unfortunately for him, he gets exposed by Nick, who has a much better form set of abs. That said, I really don't like any of them that much in this shot. Nick has great abs, yes, but an awfully wide waistline for someone of his young age, and I don't understand why so many fans seem to be giving him a complete pass on this. I find it rather concerning, and it makes me question how long he'll last before he blows it out, because midsections only tend to get larger and thicker with age. I guess as long as he can keep it in check and avoid the dreaded bubble gut, that's probably good enough for today's open class. Anyway, in the most muscular shot, both Steve and Nick are showing some massive cannonball delts. These are my 1 and 2 respectively. I'd have Iain in third here. And this hands clasped is probably Walker's best variation. It really shows off those guns and abs to full effect. But in this comparison, I think Steve's crab beats Nick's hand on hip. He's just overwhelming him with size, and his physique draws my eye more. So yes, overall, I'm still giving Kuclo the nod in the most muscular. Not by much, but yeah, that's my pick, and I don't really care if it's unpopular. We're all entitled to our own opinions. But make no mistake, at the end of the day, Walker was still leaps and bounds ahead of the competition. If anything, he only pulled away further here at the finals. So a very dominating victory, and this kid just continues to impress. Based on this performance and his skyrocketing trajectory this year, I feel like a top 4 or 5 finish at the Olympia is very realistic. He might even challenge for top 3 depending on who shows up. But wouldn't you love to see him side by side with Hattie Chupan? That would be epic, man. So that's all for this comparison. They continue to put him through the rounds, giving each man a turn in the center, but it's not really necessary to go through it all again. As for Iain Valliere surpassing Steve Kuclo to take second, I guess I can see it. Iain was better conditioned, but man, I really think that his physique is too flawed to be placing so well at all these shows. No calves, small chest, and a thoroughly mediocre back. That to me is not worthy of second place at a show as big as the Arnold. But hey, at least they got the winner right. So stay tuned for next time, and tomorrow I'll probably be covering either the second callout or classic physique, possibly both. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more analysis like this. But until then, it's the Tominator signing off, and I'll be back.